Hello, everyone. It's a beautiful day out there and a wonderful occasion to spend some time talking together about data management. Why not? Welcome to our webinar session. Before people, no,
It seems that there is a technical problem with the live.
Okay. Let's wait 1 minute. All right. Welcome. If you have just joined us, it's a beautiful day out there and a wonderful occasion to spend some time to talk about data management. Why not? Welcome to our webinar, and thank you for joining. While other participants are still logging in, I can see people coming in still. I will take the time to first introduce myself, present the topic for today, and let my guest, William, the CTO, Marjory, introduce himself right after. So my name is Monika Holland. I am a go-to-market professional with a strong commercial background. I've been working with tech companies for the last 15 years on go-to-market strategies, launching new products into the market. I usually work with sales, marketing, and product teams and help them execute on those strategies. Whether it's product-led or sales-led or anything in between. So the topic of the webinar is the diary of the CTO. And we will be delving into a very hot topic, and that is the challenges of data integration with small, medium-sized businesses. We will start in just a moment. It's 11:02. We'll still have people logging in. So just for the logistics part, the session is planned for about 45 minutes. And the format is, if you have any questions while we're having the discussion, feel free to put them in the chat. We can address them as we go. We'll be monitoring the chat and hope to address any questions you may have. So I think we are ready to go. William, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm William da Cunha. I'm the current CTO of Marjory. Marjory, it's an iPaaS, so an integration platform as a service. We are strongly focused around SMB markets because they have very specific needs and challenges that we'll deep dive afterwards. We provide all the necessary tools to handle data integration in the context of an SMB. Not just that, but we have a strong emphasis on that. It can be from ETL until a fully event-based automation. Whatever you need, if it's in asynchronous, you can handle that with Marjory. On my side, it's almost a decade that I started in data integration industry. And before that, I was a Java developer for a few years. And here I am.
Okay, well, I'm really honored to have you here and to chat with you about this hot topic. Thank you for your brief introduction, which gives me a really good transition into actually the first question that I wanted to ask you. And that is, could you share a brief overview of your career trajectory? Like, what led you to your current role as a CTO with Marjory?
Yeah, sure. Truthfully, I'm really passionate about coding, software engineering. Actually, I started when I was a kid, so yeah. I'm not too old, but it was a long time ago I started. And when I started professionally, and it's still the case, but I really wanted to learn a lot of things. The quickest, the better was for me. And I was really excited about trying new things. So I've got to front-end development, back-end development, and then a little bit by luck, but I had the opportunity to start developing data flows and working on the data integration. So it was a talent, for example, my first experience. And I started focusing on that because I really loved the technical aspect. It's really one of the hardest things to architecture, because you need to handle a high volume of data. You had to handle high availability. It was really interesting to me, and it's always different because each company has their own set of data, their own data flows. So even if you can look at the patterns and you can actually see that there are patterns, it was really broad domain, and I really love that. And actually, one of the industry that use a lot of data integration is marketplaces. So I started with that, with one marketplace, two marketplaces, and I've done several of them. And not just that, but I've done a lot of that. And Marjory, actually, funnily enough, was a solution that was dedicated to marketplaces when it started. As I said, it's really an industry that needs a lot and a lot of data flows. As you have a lot of sellers that are not inside your company, so you need to exchange data with them in order to provide a full catalog and a full experience, unified experience to your own customer. And here I am. I started with them, and we started collaborating. Because I had the experience with both the data integration and the marketplace segments.
So a lot of passion and a lot of knowledge combined together, and here you are. So what excites you the most about your current position? So you could be a CTO in any other data company or the tech company per se. Why Marjory?
Well, every company I don't know, but sure, I could be elsewhere than Marjory for sure. And first of all, what I'm really interested in is the team. I'm really lucky. Every CTO knows that he can't do anything himself. He needs a good team, and I have really a good team, really passionate. So it resonates with me, this passion. I have really good team for that. They are dedicated, which I appreciate a lot. And truthfully, what we build as a product, but also the underlying technology is really good. It's really powerful, and yeah, it's really cutting edge. We use things that are not just hyped, by what we can see on the market and everything like that, but we are really using a new way or modern way, I will say, because it's not always new, but really modern way to work. And yeah, that's really something that is cool. And last but not the least, but our CEO, Kamel, is put a strong emphasis on innovation. We try, even if we're young, because Marjory was created a few years ago, we don't just try to imitate others or just be inspired by others, but we try to be better than others and trying to innovate on some point, not in everything, as I said, we're young, but we really try to be different and innovative on some point. So that's why I love my position at Marjory, and I don't want to change right now.
All right. So you're focusing on innovation and innovating the space. Obviously, data integration and management has been there, and every company now needs to have it. It's a must-have. It's not anymore a nice-to-have. And obviously, a lot of small, medium businesses have a lot of different challenges in this area, which is the main topic of today. Is what do you see as the main challenges these companies have, how they handle data?
There are many challenges, obviously. I won't. I think that I can't talk about all of them. I will just focus on what, in my own experience, I encountered, and what are the most challenging points for me. The first for me is by far is the limited resources. I think that there are a lot of people in the audience that already worked in big corporate company. The way you handle resources in a big company and in SMBs is a little bit different. It's not that SMBs has a lack of resources per se, but we need to be really efficient. Everyone already encountered some project that double or triple the time to be delivered, or the budget was the double, also the triple. So that's something that in SMB we are very careful about that, because it can just crash the company in some case. And in the particular scale-up segment of SMB, it's all the more damaging, this kind of things. So the way you treat and you manage your resources is fundamental. It can be human resources with the expertise as the financial one. So in order to work around data flows, you need to be the first challenge is how can I get the right tools with the resources that I have, that are very limited, and the right expertise. And this one, the expertise, is, I think, something that will be linked to other challenges, because if you have the right tool and if you have the right expertise, data flow is something that we can do since 30 years ago, so it's feasible, but it's complicated because the expertise is really rare, actually, these days. I think that's the first point. Yeah, question?
I'm wondering if there are any questions actually in the audience. As soon as we have them, we'll put them through. But yes, continue. This is very interesting.
Cool. I think that the second point that I can dive on is the scalability, because scalability is always an issue. Being a startup, being an SMB, being a big corporate company, it will always be a subject. But in SMB, the scalability is really important, more than the other, in my opinion. Feel free to tell me otherwise, but in my experience, it was all the more important that it's really a support for the business plan. You know, all your architecture, your infrastructure, your system, your whole system is here to support your business plan. And in SMB, you need to be. I've seen a tendency to be more aggressive in your business plan than in big corporate company, that it's pretty rare that they are doing double the revenue or triple the revenue in a year. What can be done more frequently, not easily, but more frequently in SMB. Once again, in my experience, I'm sure that there are a lot of other contexts. But in this case, scalability is really something difficult to handle, because as you grow, even if it's not a big growth, like we can see 10x in scale up, you need to grow as an SMB. And generally, it's not always the case, but generally what I see is a lot of ETL job, scripts, manual scripts, or even using tools like I've seen a lot of Talent Open Studio, for example, being used. And it's fine. It works really well until you reach a point of growth, or where you can't just use these kind of things, and you can be blocked by only one paradigm. So you need to manage several kind of data flow. Obviously, we still use a lot of jobs, scripted one that are cron, but you need to handle also automation, event-based one, things like more fluid, more focus on what's happening on near real time. So and this particular case need to be very you need to be very careful about how you handle your scalability. It can be It can be because of the servers or the infrastructure, but it's rarely the case because you can still put more server or more powerful ones. But usually it's the way you handle data flow at scales that are not really well known. It's really well documented how you can put one data flow in place, but having this data flow running at scale with millions and millions of events each day and being highly available to support your business, yeah, it can be really a challenge. So yeah, it's still combined with the first challenges, but more deeply around the scalability.
So how would you say, what are the most important things to look at? First, the infrastructure, as far as I understood. So the resources you have, the right infrastructure that can scale with the business, the right tools you mentioned.
Before the infrastructure, generally what I do when I try to audit a system, data integration system, is the architecture. The difference that I mean is I'm not looking at what's the power of the server or how much there is. It's more like, okay, if I need to put another server or if I need to grow one, will it still work the same? For example, there are some practices that I've seen that just cut you the opportunity to just put another server to treat the data flow. It's pretty frequent when you're working with a file system, for example. It happens. It can happen a lot on that, and that's why some technology, when you like going with manual script or you want to develop your own data flow, that's why some tools like Kafka, for example, which is a messaging system for the old guys, it can be like an ActiveMQ or something like that. More powerful, more modern, but still the same messaging system. That's where it's time to shine, where you need to have an architecture where you know for sure that you can grow your infrastructure in order to support, as always, your business, your business plan. I think it's the first things, the architecture, and you need for that to have the right expertise, even if it's not internal, because it's, as I said, a rare skill set to have. You need to be helped if you don't have the skill set right inside your company. I think that's how I would handle that for the first step.
Very interesting. So we said resources, we said scalability. What else is there as a main? What would you point out as a main challenge?
I think I would go to data governance. So, because you need, everyone needs to know what's happening inside his system. But when you start, it's usually a topic that you really don't cover very well. And it's understandable, you need first to have a business in order to ensure that this business is still running after and to secure it. So generally, yeah, it's a little bit the third wheel, the data governance, but you need to delve in this topic. One moment or the other, you need to go there, and it's really challenging. There are several things in data governance. It's a vast subject, but I think that you can say that there are two main things that you can check. The first is data silos. Data silos mean that there are a bunch of data across your organization that is not fluid in the sense that it's not circulating, and everyone doesn't know that this particular set of data even exists in your company. And the main threat of that is that you can't grow as fast. You're really cutting yourself from a lot of opportunity when you are creating your own data silos. And this challenge can be resolved in a sense with organization. It's usually not a technology or a tool problem. The first thing generally for data silos is the organization, because from what I've seen, a lot of times your own architecture, your own infrastructure, your whole system, you can see how you're organized, how your company is run, how your company runs, sorry, just by how you have architecture that. Because at times it's really frequent, actually, that you can see that there are choices that was made that was not because it was good for the architecture. For example, this component is here, but intellectually it should be there. It would work very much more easily. It would be more performant. It would be more usable, and it would break some data silos. But your organization needs that it's put in this team with this particular director and so on. So for data silos, obviously, your tool should help you, but it's an help. It should come first from your own organization. If your own organization create data silo, you can do whatever you want. You will still have them, even if the even if the tools can prevent that. How the tools can help you, it can be by giving you a real overview of what is flowing, because it's this kind of tools generally is transversal. It can be because in the way it helps you handle your own organization. For example, if you have 2 or 3 or 4 teams developing data flows, well, maybe they want their own administrators, and you must be able to replicate your own organization and work as one or several teams or even business units inside these tools in order to replicate in one part your organization and in the other part the data that is flowing. And I think that a good tool for data governance should be able to, for data silos, we say, not data governance as a whole, but for data silos, it's also to give you a real good overview of what kind of data, where you're connecting your data and so on.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, just to summarize real quick what we have said so far. So we said when it comes to the biggest challenges, resources, the skill set the resources have, the structure of the team, then it would be very important, right, as number one. Then we're going into scalability, and that's architecture, infrastructure of the organization and of data infrastructure specifically, the right tools, and then we're going into data governance, which is another challenge, and that this is where data silos can happen. And you haven't finished yet on the second part. You said there's 2 pieces, so there's one data silos and another one. So just before we get there, so sounds like the team or the resources and the skill set that are part of the organization play a huge role here, more than we would think about tools, everything else.
Yeah. A tool is just a tool, first you need to be sure about your capacity to use this tool, if you use a hammer to do anything else, that's what you're supposed to do with a hammer. It can be the best hammer in the world, you won't have the result that you hope for. So yeah, the human piece of the data components in your organization, yeah, human is first thing of the first importance, for sure. And usually, it's not something that organization puts a strong emphasis on, because, as I said, but the trap here is to think, okay, it's easy to do data flows. Yeah, that's easy to create data flows. Yeah, it works, and there are a lot of companies that are running well, for sure. There are a lot of data flows that are running each day. So, but if you want to scale, you can be blocked, and it's a challenge. That's why it's a challenge and not a death trap that you can't recover from. And in data silo, data silo and data governance, you can also think of the position of the SaaS, because actually SaaS solutions are more and more used in all organizations, and it can also contribute to having data silo. We all encountered once or twice some organization where they use some a Google Workspace with a spreadsheet that is used. It's a little dark, it's a little bit shady. The IT department don't know about that. They use some Slack or whatever CRM that is, or an Airtable. There are a lot. There are a bunch of SaaS solutions that you encounter, and you need to have some tools that ease the integration of this SaaS solution. There exists a lot of tools actually that can do that with still maintaining a good scalability. For sure, I'm CTO of Marjory. We'll talk about Marjory, but there are also a bunch of that with Make, Zapier, and so on. So there are a bunch.
The multiple solutions that SaaS solutions that companies use on a daily basis. How does that affect the quality of the data flowing through those solutions?
Oh, that's a good point. That's actually the second point that I wanted to deep dive for data governance, the data quality. In the data quality, it can be influenced in the lack of automation. Because if you have a SaaS solution that is not connected to other piece of your system, it means that someone somewhere needs to do something manually. And as you know, doing something manually can directly generate some error and some issue. So that's one way to fight this kind of constraint. And then there are a lot of SaaS solutions that give you that generate almost data because it's one of their feature. For example, I was talking about CRM. You put just a domain name from an email and they check the company, they give you a lot of data. Yeah, for sure, you need to check if it's okay. So for a CRM, it's not really the good example, but there are some cases where you want to be in more control about what is produced by SaaS solution, and tools that interconnect with them can be a good way to do that. For example,
we have an interesting question from Tien from the audience. And Tien would like to ask your question. It says, first of all, thank you for an interesting share. I have a question about synchronization between data engineering team and business stakeholders. A general theme I notice is that many times data engineer team has to take charge of the data pipelines, data quality, data access control. But clearly, we cannot expect the data engineers to have all sorts of domain expertise in a vast number of data domains, marketing data, financial data, etc. So how? His question is, how do you organize the teams? I cannot see the entire message.
I see the question.
Yeah. So how do you organize the teams to actually manage all that?
and to have a good balance between data engineering team and stakeholder, how to synchronize, and do you apply data mesh architect in your organization? Yeah, so there are a lot of questions combined in these ones.
Great question.
But funnily enough, it's also a question about human and organization and not in the tools. So like I said, it's really a huge topic. I think that for SMB, it's really particular because if you're in big corporate company, there are a lot of resources that you can find out there, and the the hell starts with when you start implementing that without having the resources to apply what are the best practices, because usually you don't want to you want to separate very well your data team, more like BI, or trying to work around data, not in an operational way, but in R&D, and then focusing on trying to have new opportunity around data. For example, you try to separate them in the organization, in the architecture, and then you want them to be as autonomous as possible. There are a lot of resources around that for big corporate company, but to apply that in SMB, I think that it's a little bit like a dream, because the investment they need to apply what I've seen for that in huge company or on the internet, I think that the ROI is really too little when you are in SMB. You need to be more pragmatic. Obviously, business stakeholder don't understand per se that there are a lot of differences between each role around data engineers, and everything that is here. Yeah, that's really best practice to separate all that. But at time, you need to be more pragmatic, and it will depend. I need to think a little bit about that. Usually, what I've seen is the people that is working with data. I will assume here, if it's not the case, tell me, but if you're working around data, for example, to do BI or to do AI, trying to work around model, or just having some KPIs from that, really working around the data, you must have someone else that is working with the operational system, the DevOps, the whole architecture, in order to provide your data where or your data lake. And the business stakeholder at that time, they can't expect you, data engineer, to work around that, but the IT department as a whole need to handle that. From what I've seen, is really it's really having one team focusing around treating the data and having at least a data lake, because right now having a data lake, it's really easy, just an S3 or a Snowflake, you can use that. Yeah, not really a data lake, but just having an S3 where you have all your data can be enough. And then when you have something very operational, you can you can do that. You can have a loop, in the IT department. So the business stakeholder work with the IT department as a whole, and then you separate the data handling on one part of your organization. It works with the IT department, with like the engineers, to provide you your entry point, and what result for your work will also go back to the IT department. That's the most pragmatic and the least resources loss that I've seen. It's a very worthwhile, but as I said, it will depend on your organization and what you can invest on. For data and for the data access control, data quality, it's, like I said, a big challenge for sure for SMB. usually I've seen a lot of SMB telling themselves, okay, data access control, I can be a little bit permissive than a big corporate company, just assuming that you put all there is all the basic stuff, to ensure security, and telling, okay, the data engineer can access the data and that's it, and not being much more granular around that. And just having a simple data lake can help you a lot with this kind of things, because you can have a good sense of what's going on. If I'm not on point, don't feel free to be a little bit more specific around what you're talking about. But I think that it can be a lot.
Yeah, thank you, William. I think I would even encourage to connect with us on LinkedIn. These are discussions we probably could have all night here. It's our ongoing challenges that CTOs and data management professionals go through on a daily basis. So I think it's good to have these discussions, even offline. We're always happy to help and share experience and knowledge as well. So please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn, follow our Marjory page as well. So when we talk about the challenges, and I'm wary of the time here, we have 10 minutes left. Really great questions coming through from the audience, so keep them coming. Hope we have enough time to address them. But I wanted to ask another question that's actually relevant to this discussion, and the big two letters that are very important right now, AI, right? There's a new wave of AI layers being implemented in existing technologies, and how do you see AI impacting the data integration industry in the coming years? And what are potential uses? If you can give us a couple of thoughts about that.
Yeah, AI is a vast topic. Actually, at present, the hype around the AI is really related to ChatGPT, Bard, and so on. This auto-generative AI. So for sure, auto-generated AI can help you a lot when you're creating data flow, because usually it takes some time to code your data flows, but the most important part is not the development itself. It's more like understanding what you should do before doing it. So that's why even if you code during 1 or 2 day data flow, it can cost you 4 or 5 days of just understanding how in your system you will connect these two applications, or having this new kind of information circulating. So auto-generative AI is one part of the AI that is a huge, it's a huge opportunity, because with all the documentation that you're doing, all the specification that you're doing before coding, it can help you cut a lot of time. And even if it's 30% or 40%, I won't say only, but it's already a huge upfront. It's a huge opportunity to cut the cost of data integration. So that's the first thing. I think that this part of the AI is related to the hype, but also related to the day-to-day of a team. When you know what you want, AI can really help you to create that. And I've seen that a lot, in a lot of data integration tool. For sure, I've seen that in Boomi. I've seen that in Retool, for example. There are a lot of tools that are implementing AI with a prompt, and even in the background, if you deep dive, and you see what's inside the product. They're just working with a model of OpenAI, but it's still a really good opportunity. It's really a huge innovation, not in the technology itself, because the what's power that is known for almost 10 years right now, I think. Yeah, it's almost. But the product innovation that's behind it is crazy, what was done. And we can really use that for the development segment of data flows. There are others. Yeah.
Sorry, does this influence your strategies or how you approach data integration at Marjory?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for sure. For Marjory, yeah. We are currently working in our own generative AI. We try to be to don't use a prompt because there are other ways to capture knowledge and to capture context. But yeah, for the end of the year, we'll have our own. But as I said, we try to be innovative, so we don't just want to do as the others. We were working on what AI can do, others that just, and once again, it's a huge opportunity and it's really good to have that, but not just the generation. I can think of two things that we're currently working on in R&D. The first is, okay, a huge part, as I said, of your work is knowing how you will connect and how you can have the good specification. And auto-generative AI will use that to create data flows. That's how it works actually for the moment. And if there are other tools that are doing more deeper work, feel free to tell me. I would be glad to know about that. But for the moment, it's how it works. But for the specification itself, AI can be a good thing because AI can't and could know about your own company because it can go to your Confluence, your Google Docs, and so on. So it can capture a lot of documentation about how your company works, but it can also know the best practices of data integration. So it can even propose something, a specification that you can just review and adapt if needed. So even if in the specification segment, it can be cool. But realistically, I think that's what I've never seen until now, and I think it's the better opportunity of AI is during the run, because data flows. Okay, build is important, really important. That's what matters for the business stakeholder in their mind, because they want to move quickly, but we need to you need all to understand that the run is what matters the most. If you even if you put 10 days of work, 100 way of works in your data flows, it will still be there 5 years, 6 years, 7 years ago, 7 years after. Sorry, because it's not like application, front-end application, where 2, 3, 4 years later, it will be at the end. You need to be good at the run and data flow, and AI can help you be more proactive. And so that's something that we work on in order to even before having an incident, being able to detect it. For example, with it can be for a lot of things. There was no order in my ordering system since 5 minutes ago. That's something that can happen if there is an increase there. Yeah, that's it. So notification, AI said that maybe there's something wrong. I think that there is a huge opportunity in the run segment because you're seeing everything that is currently running in your system.
Hold on just for 1 second there, that thought. I think it's very interesting, and I think we should delve deeper into the run piece of it. We are running out of time, and this is we're almost at 45 now. So if I understand if you have planned for 45 minutes and you need to go, we will We will go on probably for another 5 minutes. So if you want to stick around, please do. I think it's totally worth. The topic is really hot, so let's continue for another 5 minutes, if that's okay, William, with you.
Yeah, sure, sure. I'm the one talking a lot, so I should assume that.
Look, valuable and interesting. So you were saying about the run. You were saying about connectivity is important, how you connect your systems, but the run is actually where what really matters and what's important to look at. Can you walk us through more on that? Can you talk more about the run? What are the main
Generally,
challenges
or
with
generally, or still related to AI?
I would say generally in terms of challenges that SMBs can run into while.
Yeah. Mm, I think the first challenge is the visibility, actually. I already talked about scalability, which is a run problematic, but in the run, I think the visibility is one of the most problematic, topic. Because if you're in ETL jobs, it's really easy. So forget about observability. Because a job is something that is triggered at this time, it works or it doesn't works. And almost all the tools that are used that I know of works really well. You just have to ensure that your system, your data integration system is running, which it's something that we can do in run since 10, 15 years ago. I don't know, but it's really an old subject. It's really easy to understand if something is working or not. But if you're not in ETL jobs, then, for example, if you're in event-based automation, business automation, or just a simple ESB, for example, for the oldest, I think that's where the pain is starting coming, because when you're doing something like that, when you're in event-based orchestration, then you need to have something that is flowing. It's not that at this time, it will have a job, it works or it don't works. You'll have some events that will be triggered that work, some that don't work. And it doesn't mean that there was something wrong. It can be that the event itself was not proper. We talked about data quality. It can be that the data was not good. Then you have to work and understand what is going on, almost like someone for the energy industry is doing for the electricity, for example. It's always flowing. If there is somewhere that there are no more energy, there is something wrong. You need to deep dive and understand what is going on. The observability, when you're in this kind of data integration method, can be a little bit hellish, and you need to have the good tool, the right tool to handle that. And for SMBs, I still link that to the first challenge, which is the resources. It can be a little bit tricky. I think that they are the two most scalability and the observability. High availability is also a huge subject, but it's linked to scalability. Generally, when you want to be scalable, you need to be highly available, because with the cost of the resources, it's easier to put more servers than to have an increase of the power of the server. So if you're scalable, usually, yeah, you're highly available. Not always the case, but it's more like a subtopic. And I think that's it. It should have more, but if you want, you can deep dive after offline for sure.
As well, but it was very interesting, and I understand that Marjory is actually focusing on specifically on the run, making it really robust as a solution. Before we go, in one sentence, if you can, a challenge for you. Where do you see industry evolving over the next 5 to 10 years in workflow into automation, so data integration and automation? One sentence, if you can.
One sentence. Wow, what a challenge. No, I think it will, the industry, data integration industry, will really be changed by AI. But I think that we are the start of the AI, so it's really complicated to tell you what will be the industry in 10 years. I think that it will be linked to AI. I'm 80% sure about that, because that's the most impressive innovation that we had in the technology.
And
But
innovation.
I will stop right at.
Focuses on innovation. So let's finish up on that. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. Thank you, William. It was really interesting to have a piece of your mind on the subject that is so such a hot topic for obviously for all of us. So thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
See ya. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.